that particular knowing functionality. And for the question of the being, that functionality, which I think, Martin, you have some descriptions of what does being actually mean?
Well, I'll give you an example. We're still several years away from all this beginning to happen, so we're structuring examples that are plausible as these systems come together. And the one I'm thinking of is you have a meeting at 8 o'clock the next morning. You're in bed, you're sleeping, you're going to get up at 7, you're going to rush for the shower, get in the car, be there 15 minutes early, and have a meeting. Now here's the problem, there's traffic, there's heavy traffic. Something is damaged on the motorway, you're not going to make it unless you get up early. So the phone rings, wakes you up 30 minutes early, now you're on time because the meeting was with your boss. It knew that you had to make that meeting, it was worth waking you up. Now, on the other hand, if it's just a meeting with a colleague for coffee, instead of waking you up, it sends an email saying, hey, I'm going to be late, there's heavy traffic. That's an example of how BeMe helps you lead a better life. It doesn't wake you up if it doesn't really need to. Now, these are complex scenarios. People actually have to write the rules. We're not expecting these devices and the systems that back them up to learn your behaviors well enough to make up scenarios like that and execute upon them. Someone is going to write the program to get you up early if there is traffic. One of the questions is who? We've been making a list of the assets that you need to bring this vision to reality. And there's a limited number of companies that have the connectivity, the infrastructure, the information to make this happen. Google started all this. When Google started deciding they would store the internet in one great big server distributed around the world, they began to collect all the knowledge needed to make these apparently smart systems. Other companies are following along. Microsoft now, we believe, has about as many servers as Google. They're investing as much money as Google did in trying to catch up. Facebook, another company investing huge amounts in surveys and data. Apple, because of its iPhone infrastructure, requires large amounts of storage and compute processing. Amazon, smaller, but still in the scale. So you can see these very large companies have the assets that can start bringing this vision to life. The question for me and for our audience at Symposium is, how does this affect IT and regular businesses? What does this bring that you have to be ready for over the next 4 or 5 years? Well, I can't promise we're going to get these intelligent scenarios, but I'm pretty sure we'll see some of the ideas we're talking about here show up over the next 3 or 4 years and start destroying established businesses. You've seen this happen before. You've seen what's happened to newspapers. In America now, the newspapers aren't like this, they're like this. I'm sure that's happening all over the world. We have a company in America now called Uber that is disconnecting the terrible cab drivers we have and replacing them with these nice black limousines that show up on time. They take you where you want to go. The people are friendly because they get kicked out if they're not nice. It's disenfranchising the taxi business all over the US. So these models are coming. What this means for IT is IT has to be prepared, first of all, to bring the digital assets to the business that the business needs to create these models. That means things like maps. You have to find mapping data, procure it, and deliver it to your internal customers in a way that makes sense to them. It means Twitter feeds. Twitter's an enormous source of sentiment about your business. It tells you how your campaigns are going, how consumers recognize the value of your brand. If you don't have Twitter feeds inside your company and they're not consistently managed, you'll find yourself being disadvantaged by competition. There are other things, demographics. Facebook, I'll encourage you all to try this. If you go to Facebook and go to their system where you make an ad, you'll find that you can target all employees of, say, Gartner, who live in Barcelona, who like skiing. And it'll say like 6 or something like that. You can send them a targeted ad that if they respond, you've netted them, you've brought them into Know Me, you're ready now to start building a bigger relationship with them. So these digital assets are all things that have to be part of a strategic business plan that drives your business future. You need to collect them now, you need to plan for them, you need to architect them, and you need to work with the business and marketing units to make sure that this comes to fruition.
And Martin, give us some examples of how a vendor or a carrier, a mobile carrier, could personalize this sort of tailor-made offering to users, and how could they get the revenue benefits? How could they make money, basically?
The opportunity for mobile carriers, again, if you look at somebody who really knows where people are, who know their habits, who what they spend, it's all going over that mobile device. If the mobile carrier can find a way to build trust with the consumer, where the consumer allows them access to critical information on the phone, and possibly even in the cloud, The mobile carrier now has a way to bring small businesses, large businesses, and consumers together all in one market and potentially collect a slice of this really as advertising revenue or promotional revenue for the business.
So